Can you hear us, Efe?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Thank you, guys, and thank you for bearing with us. A little technical difficulties on the Zoom. You will be able to take footage of this press conference from the Top Rank YouTube channel after, so feel free to do so. Joining us on the line right now is the president, right before we get to Efe, is the president of Top Rank, Todd DeBuff. Todd, welcome today. Can you talk a little bit about two things, both how important it was for Top Rank and ESPN to get the main event, the main event between Smith and Vlasov rescheduled so soon, and what you've seen in Efe Ajagba and how you feel like Efe is going to fit into that heavyweight picture moving forward?
Well, thanks, Evan, and I appreciate everybody for showing up this morning. We're all dealing with the uncertainties of COVID issues, and we're all dealing with it. And we kind of got nipped in the bud early on this year, where we felt like we dodged a lot of bullets last year. The importance really is for the fighters, right? For the fighters to get back on track and not miss too much time. So when we were able to slot this in and find a good home for it and get this back on the books right away, there's a lot of opportunity in the light heavyweights. Obviously, we saw Better BF's successful defense. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago from Russia? We wanted to be on that pace to get everybody back in action and then make these big fights happen. So listen, everybody worked quickly, everybody worked diligently, and this is going to be really from the U.S. our first bout outside the bubble too. So moving into Tulsa is going to be it's kind of like a breath of fresh air for some people because we're so used to the bubble. On FA, you're dealing with a absolute, wonderful prospect that has got incredible power, has taken a lot, people rate him as one of the top prospects in the heavyweight division. And I think he was off for a bit last time, and we wanted to keep him back going. The division is loaded, as we know, but there's a few elite guys, and we think FA is one of those elite guys. And we think he's proven it over, since he came onto the scene. And I think now it's time to step it up, and he's going to be knocking on some big heavyweight doors. So very exciting times for heavyweights, and especially young prospects like Efe.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you, Efe. Efe, you made your debut at Top Rank last September. Tough fight against Jonathan Rice. How's been sort of that time off, and what are you looking to prove, and what are you looking to show the fans against Brian Howard on Saturday night?
In my last fight against Jonathan Rice, I was not prepared enough. Just prepared for 2 months for that fight, so I was not fully prepared in that fight. So just got into a new contract. So, but now I'm fully prepared for Brian Howard this Saturday night. So I have what it takes to win that fight because so I'm very fully prepared in that fight. So I've been with Coach K, training so hard to get to that fight.
Thank you, Efe. And a reminder, everybody wants to ask a question, please raise your hand in the chat queue, and you'll be able to ask a question. And unfortunately, it looks like we were sold out at the Osage Casino here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I guess absence makes the heart grow fonder because the fans in Oklahoma snapped up tickets rather quickly for this event. So now we are going to go to the questions, and we are going to kick things off with Jake Donovan from BoxingScene.com. Jake, please go ahead.
Great, thanks, Evan. Efe, welcome back to the ring. I wanted to ask, you said last time you didn't have a lot of time to prepare for your fight. Just how much more have you been able to grow with K. Karoma, and what do you feel is different about this camp than going into your last fight?
Yeah, this camp is different from the old camp, So being with Coach K is a good learning process, So there are some things I don't know that Coach K is teaching me. Coach K is teaching me a lot of stuff that I don't know, So which is good for me on my boxing foundation and my hand combination punches, So those are the things that Coach K is trying to teach me, to put everything together on me to get to the fight.
Okay, and then without giving away your game plan, how much better do you think Brian Howard matches up with you stylistically than your last fight?
I think bar award is not. It's not in my, like what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is it's not in my position on that fight. So I'm going to use that fight to step out to see my performance because I got into a new contract. So I need to prove myself. So in my last fight, so I was not improving enough. So but this Saturday night is going to be more like they want to see more of Efe Ajagba, more head movement and combination punches, so all this stuff, my footwork, I want to put everything together against him, bring our hard one.
Okay, great. Thanks, Efe. Good to have you back. Looking forward to seeing you Saturday night.
Thank you, Jake. And yes, so as I mentioned, please use the raise hand button on your feed, and we will get to questions. But before we get to another question, Efe, what do you know about Brian Howard? I think we all saw him with a big knockout over Carlos Negron relatively recently. Is his power something that you are looking in your game plan? Is his power something you are aware of in game planning against?
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything like good day to say I'm going to knock him out. So it's just I'm going to go there to do my job, to get my job done. So everything I train in the gym, I'm going to put everything in the fight. So I'm going to start with the job, my footwork, head movement. That's all.
All right. Now, and you're a guy who was knocking people out very quickly throughout your career. Especially we all know about your famous 1 second fight, which wasn't a knockout, but you hold the record for the victory of the shortest bout in boxing history. But how helpful was it for you and for your team to go 10 rounds against Jonathan Rice in your last fight? And can you talk about the experience of going the distance and how that helped you moving forward?
Like I said earlier before, I was not fully prepared in that fight. Just 2 months in my last fight against Jonathan Rice, so I was not fully prepared. So I would try to do a lot of stuff, a lot of things in my head. So but right now, I'm very 100% focused, in that fight. So against Jonathan Rice, so I was not fully prepared in that fight. So that's why I went to distance with him.
Okay, and now we're going to open up the questions to Alan Alford. Alan, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
How you doing, Mr. Ajagba? Thank you for being with us. Yes, my question to you would be, being that you're from Texas and you come from a state that's known for boxers, what does it mean to you to come from a state like Texas, you have Errol Spence, yourself, and represent Texas?
Yeah, since I came from Nigeria, so I came to Texas. I have a lot of Africans in Texas. Okay. Like Russian stores, African Russian stores. There are some African restaurants in Texas, so which is very good for me. We have a lot of African community in Texas, so it's a good place for me to stay. So when I came from Nigeria to America, I first learned to Texas. So I've not been anywhere. I've not stayed anywhere apart from Texas.
So it feels like home for you.
Yeah, it feels like home for me, So it's like I said before, we have a lot of Africans community around us in Texas. So, it's good. It's a place for me to live because we have a lot of people, African people here, live in Texas. So I'll be here for 3 years and 4 months.
Wow. So you're doing already well, meeting a lot of Africans. So it feels like home, good home cooking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Alan. And we will next go to the next question from Boxing Voice, John Devon Turble. I totally butchered your name, John, but please unmute, accept my apologies, and unmute yourself and ask your question when ready, sir.
You were close. We'll give you that.
I was close. I'm sure I wasn't close, but I appreciate you being nice and not making me feel so bad for butchering your name. John, please go ahead when ready, sir.
No problem. Hey, Efe, hope you're doing well. Just a quick question from me regarding your record so far. Most of your fights have come by way of knockout. So you've got a fantastic pedigree there. Do you think there is a bit more pressure with a fighter with so many knockouts so early on in his career?
It's just like I said before, the knockout. Like I'll be knocking people out in my first fight to the last fight. So I'll be fighting a lot of guys that have experience. They know some guys, some fighter who has experience. They watching my right hand because they know I have a powerful right hand. They try to avoid the right hand. So that's why everybody don't want to stay in my front to fight. They just keep running. So that's the only way they survive.
Yep. And in regards to Jonathan Rice, your last sort of outing, which was in 2019 in September. What have you been doing, keeping active and staying positive during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, I think during the pandemic I didn't fight. So so after the COVID-19, everything that's my last fight for September. That was my last fight after the COVID-19. So it's been long. So I'll be training during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'll be training, so but not in the gym, just outside in the gym and in my apartment, neighborhood gym. That there's a gym there. You go there and do some training. So that's what I'll be doing in the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'll be training all along, so it's crazy,
Thank you, John. And we have one final question for Efe. Carlos Toro, please go ahead, ask your question when ready, sir.
Hi, Efe. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. Last year, obviously, because of the pandemic, you only got to fight twice, and you've been someone who's been very active prior to last year. What was the biggest takeaway that you got from those two fights last year, and what do you hope to sort of achieve this year in 2021? Is it to be a lot more active or get to a certain level of opposition? What do you hope to achieve for this year?
I think right now I'm being in a new promotional contract, so they try to slow me down a little bit to be active, so this Saturday night I'm going to prove myself. Everything I work on in the gym, I'm going to show it in my fight, so I'm going to stay active, to make sure I step into the big fight, so that's the only way to get to the big fight, where you stay active. That's it.
Thank you very much, Carlos, and thank you, Efe. Our apologies for the technical difficulties. Is there anything you would like to say to the fans out there as you approach Saturday night?
Yeah, I just want my fans to wish me good luck in my fight, because I train for this fight, train so hard for this fight, so I want them to wish me all the best in my last fight. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Efe, and he'll be on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Deportes, top of the hour, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, against Brian Howard. So make sure you catch that. Efe, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very much. Thank you. All right, and now, as Efe logs off, we go to the man who is no stranger to pulling off a heavyweight upset, Brian Howard, joining us on the call. Brian, how are you doing, sir?
How you doing, my man?
Well, hey, do you have your video? Do you have your video on? Do you want to put that video on, Brian? I think the media wants to get a look at you. If you can.
I believe it's on.
It's a black screen. This is Brian Howard, and now we see Brian Howard joining us.
Cut that off. Something in your success right now. Cut that off.
Brian, I don't know, Brian, you hanging up sheetrock or something? I don't know what's going on in the background.
No, I'm in my gym.
Over there. No. But thank you again, Brian, for joining us today. Can you sort of talk about where you were and what was going on when you got this call to fight Efe Ajagba and coming off your last fight against Frank Sanchez? How quickly did you jump at that opportunity?
We're always training, man. So we try to stay ready for whatever opportunity comes our way, and we try to make the best of it every time out.
And you know, can you talk about you're a guy that, as we mentioned on the call, no stranger pulling off the heavyweight upset, no stranger coming in as the quote unquote B side against that undefeated prospect. Can you talk about the confidence you have knowing that, listen, against a guy like Carlos Negron, you put him out in a round, you've done it before. Can you talk about the confidence that a win like that can give you as you head into a fight against a guy like Efe Ajagba?
Oh man, it gives me great confidence knowing that I could step up to the to the heavyweight division and punch with the big guys. So it was a challenge, but that was what motivated me.
And as I said, guys, please, you can to ask questions, raise your hand in the chat. If you cannot figure that out, send me a private message in the Zoom chat, and I will get you in the queue and you get your questions asked as soon as possible. Jake Donovan, please. Jake, I think Jake just left it. Jake was going to ask a question, and then, oh, there he is. Jake Donovan, raise hand. Please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Great, thank you very much, Evan. Brian, welcome back to the ring. I know it's getting that win over Carlos Negron, my wife's cousin-in-law, for the record. So I was a little upset when you got that win, but how frustrating was it for you that you actually didn't get to cash in on that opportunity?
The Frank Sanchez opportunities, that's what you're speaking about?
Oh, no. When you knocked out Carlos Negron, that you had to sit out for more than a year after that.
Oh man, that was the most frustrating part. Coming in, beating a guy that they picked to beat me. Ex-Olympian. It was a good opportunity. I made the best I could of the opportunity. That night at the Barclays Center, it was great ambiance. But having to sit out for so long and not be able to keep moving, that was real frustrating. It was real challenging.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that night we finally got to see the best of what you had to offer. I've been following you for a very long time, and that was like the first night when we got to see like your full potential. Do you feel like people kind of got a false sense of like you going into the Frank Sanchez, like they feel like maybe okay, this is the guy that's going to show up in April, and not the guy that knocked out Carlos Negron?
Ask that question again.
I'm sorry, I'm going to try to rephrase it. Do you feel like people got a false sense of what you're about from your last fight with Frank Sanchez, and not really that the guy who knocked out Carlos Negron is what you're really about?
Nah, they didn't. To know, I don't want to take anything away from Frank, but Frank was a good guy. But I went into that fight with an injury. I had broke my finger on my jab hand, so I couldn't get any rhythm with my jab. But they had a great game plan, and he capitalized off of it. But and I'm not gonna fall back on the injury because I could have said I could have not taken the fight. But it was some people that they was behind me, so they pushed hard for me to get the opportunity. So I just didn't want to disappoint anybody. But as
my final question.
But that's it. But as far as your question, they didn't get to see they didn't get to see the full spectrum of Brian Howard. Because I got I've come pretty much full circle with my fight game. My footwork has gotten better. My defense is way better than what it was in that fight. So and plus and my hand speed is I honestly I think the only heavyweight that could probably match my hand speed would probably be Andy Ruiz.
Jake, you have one more question, or you good?
Hello, can you hear me?
Jake?
I'm good. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you very much, Jake. Now we go ahead to Alan Alford, who has his hand raised. Alan, please go ahead when ready.
Yes, Mr. Howard, thank you for joining with us today. And oh, you're welcome. And my question to you would be, with the fight that you have coming up, you're fighting a Ajagba who's not a joke. So fans that care about you and fans that are looking out for you, what can you say to them that are worried about you in this fight?
They don't need to be worried about me in a fight, man. This is boxing. You either it's all part of the job. So I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be fine. I just want them to wish me the best, and root for me, win, lose, or draw.
And Brian, obviously you're no mistake, you're coming in as the underdog, but did you expect to get, obviously you mentioned there were some things in the Frank Sanchez fight that you didn't go in 100%, but the result was the result. Did you expect to get an opportunity like this so soon after the fight, or did this come as a bit of a surprise for you?
Yes, it was a bit of a surprise. We had been trying to fight Ajagba early on last year, but he kept turning the fight down for whatever reason. So yes, it was a surprise that they even, you know, called me with the opportunity and the offer.
You claim that they turn you down. Why do you think? I mean, obviously that's more of a question for Efe, but why do you think they thought the time was right to face you right now?
Honestly, I think it was the Frank Sanchez loss, to be honest.
So they saw something, and you're trying to prove that what they saw they didn't really see. Is that what you're saying, Brian?
Absolutely.
We're going to keep going to the questions. Carlos Toro, please unmute yourself and ask your question when ready.
Hey, Brian, thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. You know, heading into this fight, obviously you're no stranger to coming off of losses and knocking out guys in the very first round. I mean, talk to me about the level of confidence that, you know, and ability in yourself to be able to sort of bounce back from those losses and pull off upsets like the one that you had against Carlos Negron. Do you kind of find yourself in a similar type of situation as you did when you fought Carlos?
Say that again now.
Let me rephrase the question. Do you feel that, you know, confidence-wise and mentality, do you feel that you're sort of in a similar situation where you have to prove to a lot of people that you're still a heavyweight to be feared when you first fought Carlos Negron coming out of the loss a couple of years ago?
Yes, I do. I have absolutely no problem bouncing back from losses. I take my losses just like I take my wins, and I actually learn more from my losses than I do from my wins. So and we go back to the drawing board with every loss, and then we work on, you know, what the mistakes that were made, and we fix and we improve and we move forward. But my mentality is my mentality. It's not going to change. I'm never going to doubt myself because I take a loss, whether it be knockout, whether it be stoppage, or whether I lose by decision. My confidence is going to always be up.
Well, thank you, Carlos, and thank you, Brian, for joining us today. We've got Maxim Vlasov on the line, so we're gonna get to the to one half of the main event. But Brian, before you go, any final words you'd like to say to the fans, to the media, as you approach the biggest test of your career Saturday night?
I just want everybody to wish me luck, my man. That's about it. Just wish me luck, you know. Root for me, stay on my side. Give me, even though the stadium is probably going to be, you know, no fans there, but I want to feed off everybody's energy and put forth my best effort.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Brian, and best luck Saturday night. We will see you in Tulsa. Thank you.
Thank you.